Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your bargaining transactional hosts. Joining me as always is our other bargaining and transactional host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
I love a good bargain.
Hell yeah.
The crack. I'm gonna complain.
Do it. Straight in.
Mike's had COVID for a year.
COVID.
COVID. So like he went to some work thing and he went to like 4 or 5 different places by airplane. And I guess like I don't know how it is where you are, but people are lax at this point. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
very rare to see somebody like wearing a mask on an airplane. Although when I came to see you, I was sitting next to someone who was very intense. I think I talked about it, but she like wore her mask and her face shield, and like she had rubber gloves on her hands, and like took all of her things off and like put them in a plastic bag and put them under her seat and didn't eat or drink the whole flight all the way over to Ireland. I know. Or no, Heathrow. So yeah, he got COVID. And like now he's having to travel probably, once every other month or once every 3 months. And I was like, "Are you gonna mask?" And he's like, "Fuck yes, I am." So he's like had it. In the States, there's a drug you can take to help lessen the symptoms. And he's like, "I really don't feel that bad." And I was like, "Take it anyway." And then he was fine for 5 days, and then we're boat shopping again. So we're supposed to go look at a boat like last Friday, and he's like, "I feel like I got COVID again." And I was like, "Well, let's test you." And it was totally positive. So he's back in his little dark room, and I'm making him quarantine because it's Harper's birthday and I want to take her to see Pink, which is like if we can just make it to like Wednesday night, that's all I need.
Yeah, perfect. Just get that Pink concert.
Yep. Yep. She's turning 10. She's like totally like, it's interesting. It's just, she's like, I'm like a preteen now. And I was like, yeah, you are.
That's scary and
So
nuts.
I
Yeah.
know it's weird. It's weird. It's weird. But like I'm trying to keep all this in perspective. Like he's not that sick,
Yeah.
and preteenness happens anyway,
Yeah.
whether I want it to or not. So
It's inevitable.
there's just a lot happening.
Sure. I think Mike getting a COVID while away on work is a lesson to all of us that work sucks. We don't
Yeah,
work.
basically.
Yeah. Just
Basically.
avoid work at all
At
possible
all
costs.
costs. At
Yeah.
all costs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about you and your grand adventure
Oh yeah. So
of
that's exactly.
not working.
That's what I was going to talk about. My trip to Portugal there recently. I have
You were
been,
in the southern part?
yeah, I
Okay.
was. I texted our friend
Mm-hmm.
because I was like on 6 different beaches at a minimum, and I was like, "This is where you need to go, dude. You would love it here."
Good.
Because it was like it was great. It was fantastic. I have not been to that part of Portugal before. It was beautiful. The coastline there is stunning. I went a few different kind of boat trips. Each one we were going into sea caves, going through like sea tunnels and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
going for like swims in the ocean that were when we're getting to beaches that weren't really accessible by land and things like that.
Oh, cool.
So cool. I then a couple of days later hiked one of those paths again. So like I saw it from the cliffside as well, and it was just fantastic. I just loved it. It was just really kind of refreshing. Like I think the thing I struggle with, and we've talked about this before, on the podcast, is switching off. Whereas if I'm on holiday, I basically am completely switched off. I check my phone once, maybe twice a day. Or if I'm using it, I'm using it to take photographs or whatever. Like I'm really not too worried about plugging in with the rest of the world. And it was just very nice to be in that space for like 5 days, very
I
lovely.
love it. I love that space.
So,
Especially where like you go somewhere and your phone doesn't work,
oh,
which is and like you can't, you know?
yeah. And I think I've talked about that before, which was what, like in Cuba, there was just no phone access at all. And it was a dream. And after that trip, I had looked into getting a beeper. I was like, can I live on a beeper? There's this thing's launched in the UK. I don't know if it's going to happen if in the US as well, but it's a Barbie phone that only takes phone calls and you can send texts by it, and that's it. Just
Yeah,
to kind of keep social media away from like devices. And I'm like, should I
yeah.
get a Barbie phone? Is that
I'm
what I
gonna
need
get
to
it.
do?
Like I'm on I don't know if they do this with your phones, but like you basically pay an insane amount.
Yes.
But they're like, but it's only 23, dollars a
Yep.
month for the
Yep.
next 300 months.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, great, give me that 800 to $1,500 stupid cell phone.
Yeah.
But I'm on the same train. Like if I can text and answer phone calls, like and pictures would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like those three things. And maybe
Yeah.
maps.
Yeah. Maps is the
Uh,
other pretty key thing I think I would need. But like I the problem as well is that like
but
WhatsApp has replaced texting for me a lot of the time, but I could probably just switch back.
yeah. Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Not to sound like but like we have so many friends in different countries
True.
that it's so much easier to use WhatsApp than text.
It's
Like
true.
I don't know if it costs you money to text me versus and it's just a lot of times like the texting doesn't work, but WhatsApp
Yeah,
is like
I
eh,
know.
yeah.
And this is the
But
thing. And then you start adding stuff on, you're like, well, okay.
yeah,
I also
I
need
know.
WhatsApp. I also need,
And then it's
you
like you
know,
could just delete social media from your phone.
I don't know how. Is there a button for that?
I know, right? But like, we're gonna get into this a
Yes.
little bit because phones, for me, like, have to do with sales, and we'll get into this.
Yes, that's just so true. So, so true. I
Mhm.
think so like yeah, just to talk a little bit more about that trip. Um, it was what else? What other kind of notable things? Oh yeah, so I went to a beach that is no what is Madonna's beach because she has a house very close to there,
Oh, cool.
and it was very fancy, as you'd expect. Um,
Was she there? Was she like, Andy,
No, 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 no,
hey, do you
no.
want to
Well, she
wear,
was, and
do you want
I was ignoring her. I was just like looking in the other direction and stuff, you know. Um, but no, and yeah, it was just like nice food. I think like, one of the things I love about Portugal is I think prices throughout Europe have gone up on the rise, are pretty consistently, whereas Portugal's still so inexpensive. And it
Mhm.
was just so lovely to just, kind of dander around and get like cheap beer and good food and not pay a fortune for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Um,
You're gonna love Guadal when you're on your great
yeah.
American trip, right?
Oh,
Because like Mexico's part of the Americas. Someone's probably going to get mad at me for that.
it
But it's
is.
so well, yeah, it's like South America, North America, and then
Yeah.
the,
Central
the
America,
Central
the
America.
stand. Yeah.
Yeah, the place in between. Um, but yeah, it's so cheap. It's so cheap in
Yeah. Oh,
Mexico. It's
it's a thrill.
crazy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably not leave. I'll just probably try and find an excuse or like, see if I can hide out in the jungle or
I
whatever or
know where all the expats
the okay, perfect. Let's find a
live.
commune somewhere. Like he's gone native. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
I might just. But yeah, so that's been the crack with me over the past week.
Mhm.
I don't have much of what's occurring. Um,
I got one of your friends sent me, we were
mhm,
chit-chatting and he sent me a photo of you dancing at his wedding in 2008.
sounds about right.
He's like, you were wasted.
I
And I
was
like
wasted.
don't I was like, what is he even doing with his hands? He's like, he's actually a really good dancer.
I
So
think yeah, I'm
I
not
may
bad
have
dancer.
to no, when you come, I may have to pile you with alcohol and
Get you
like,
dancing. It really doesn't take much.
yeah.
Truly,
Oh,
like
really?
a
Okay.
couple of drinks, I'll start dancing. It's no problems. Like at weddings, a
I mean,
friend.
we did like what is it, ecstatic dancing
Hmm.
at the yoga retreat. Do you
Yeah, it's
remember?
true. It's true. That was I found that tougher because it was like now stand in this circle of people and dance, and it's like, oh no, this is awful.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
a friend of mine who you've met, dog. We in our kind of friend group went to a couple of weddings over a course of a year. Now this was a while ago, and we kind of had the reputation as the two that were like would start the dancing going because we would just be like he would say you coming up, or I would say to him, and we would go up and we dance, and then eventually everybody else would come up.
Uh-huh.
Because like it's a good crack, and also we tend to be in a this is a more sort of conservative country in that regard. Like people don't want to be embarrassed or fucking whatever kind of reasons they don't want to dance. So it's good to have that sort of catalyst, and like m me and him are shameless in that regard when that we will just go up and dance, and it's all good. Um,
Having met him, I can totally see that.
You'll agree. He might even listen to this episode. He would agree if he's listening. Um, but I can't remember who it was. I was talking to a friend who went to a wedding in I think it was Finland or Norway or something like that. And
Mhm.
they were saying like we're conservative here, but you have no idea what they're like over there. And she went to a wedding um where nobody danced the whole night. And
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
what? And she said it was kind of awkward as a result. It was just like there was a dance floor, there was music playing, and nobody used it. And it's like that sucks. But
That's the whole point,
it is.
really, is to just get wasted and dance to the YMCA.
I it's true, right? Then that's it's what life's all about, if you ask me.
Right.
I have actually have another story from the wedding that you were talking about, the picture that was sent to you. Um, So, and I love my friend and I love, his wife as well. They're both great people, but like, I don't really want to like speak publicly or anything like that. But like
Yeah, yeah, no.
some of my friends were just like, right, we should say something. We should do a speech. And I'm like, okay. So like they nudged me and like I did a speech and I'm glad that I did, but I sat down and I immediately realized that there was something else I really wanted to say, even though I think the speech was fine, but like classic me completely overanalyzing, tearing it apart in the moment. And I
Yeah.
stood back up again. Everybody was like, I said a bit more. And then I got a really kind of like half-ass clap again. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down now. My God, why did I do that? Why did
It's
I go for
awful.
why did I
It's like
go for
something
that?
that would happen in a movie, and
Yeah.
everybody like, oh,
Why did I go for that second hit,
cringing in your movie theater seat.
Oh,
Oh, Andy.
I was
It's
I
like the
was
worst thing. It's probably the worst thing you've ever done.
well let's see what other things we uncover as this podcast goes on, but it's up there certainly. So yeah, that was. I wonder will he remember that? You let me know. I know he will.
Uh-huh. Well,
But
well, I guess my what's occurring is all of Andy's friends just send me embarrassing photos
by
for
all
my own
means,
enjoyment.
I mean, I can send you plenty of embarrassing ones as well.
You have, I know, but
I dug. I had it for my friends who was visiting in Portugal. And like
Mhm.
ordinarily, I tell people this, and they're like, "Who is that?" But you know the movie The Room,
Yeah,
Tommy Wiseau.
room.
Hmm
Oh God, yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
I've hung out with Tommy Wiseau.
So I have a picture with him and Greg Sestero, and like I told them
You
about it.
met Greg Sestero?
Uh-huh.
Why have we never talked about the room?
I know. Well, it's well.
This is a whole episode to itself.
We'll get to that. Yeah, bad movies episode.
Oh my God, I
So
have so many photos to send you.
we have basically, and they were like, oh yeah, we know this, and I was like, oh God, and I couldn't, and it took me ages to like dig through and find the photo, but I found the photo, so I have the photo. I can send that to you, which was me, Tommy on one side, Greg on the other
Uh-huh.
side. It
We
was
brought
pretty
him roses. We brought him,
amazing.
and like we were in the front row. We brought spoons,
Uh-huh.
and like
Yes.
because everyone throws. Were you there for a movie screening?
I was. So yes,
Okay.
I
Oh
think
my God,
let's put a pin in this story and we
this is
revisit
so
this for a
good.
bad movies episode because I
Okay.
do have a
Okay.
story about my first experience with the room. So yeah, so that but it was pretty rad.
Have you
Um
watched? Okay. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Have you
yeah.
seen the trailer for his new movie, Big Shark?
Yes, I have. I forgot it because
There's like three trailers.
yeah, because I think I saw that because there's been trailers been kicking around for like the past 6 months or whatever. I think I
Yeah.
saw one ages
Oh my
ago and I was like, oh
God.
my God, yeah.
Okay, this is totally going. I
Okay,
could
all
talk
right.
about this for like hours.
Okay, we do a bad movies episode. Okay,
No,
right.
no, just the room because
Just the room.
and our experience is hanging out with Tommy
Oh,
Wiseau.
okay. I
And when
have.
is he coming out with his shampoo line? I just want to know, Tom.
He's such a capitalist. Right.
I
Okay.
know.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Okay. I
So
got
we're
like a surge of
talking about
adrenaline just there.
talking about capitalism.
Yes,
Right.
and sales.
Check this out for a segue. Uh, well, I should be congratulate myself mid segue,
Speaking of
but
dinosaurs,
the topic for this episode is seals and like our relationship with that, what we think
not
about
seals, like the ones
it.
in the water, but sails.
I'll Americanize it. Say sales, sales,
Sails.
sales,
Seals?
sales, like Salesforce 6. No, sorry. Right, okay, ignore me. Right, okay. The episode is called "Can I Interest You in Buying Something?" and is about, our experiences. So obviously, salesmen, sales reps, all of those things are something we've
Mhm.
all encountered in our life. It is a inevitable thing that you have to deal with in this life. You get
Uh-huh.
people knocking on doors, things like that. It's definitely something that I think I have a problem with it for a number of different reasons, but like
Can I
it.
just stop you before
Hmm.
you go in? So this is something, it's interesting. So this is not that you're like my own little anthropological experiment, but like
Wow,
you hate salespeople.
I really do.
Like like you don't talk about things you hate ever, really, other than, the usual mental health stuff, but like
Yeah.
not the usual, but this is a theme that has come up and come up and come up. And
Hmm.
finally you were like, I want to do an episode on sales. And I was like, he's got stuff he needs to let out.
Yeah, I do.
So this is going to be catharsis for you.
I think so.
So
Yeah.
what do you hate? What do
I
you hate?
I think I find everything about it really objectionable. I find how it seeps into so many aspects of your life. I find I really hate more than anything the sort of
Hmm?
false so hey friend, how are you doing? Tell me about yourself, blah blah blah. And I'm like, fuck, can we get past this shit so you can do the hard sell on me? I know what you're trying to do. I know you're trying to build a connection, blah blah blah. I hate that you're wasting my time. So I think it just really bothers me. The you know, it's certainly something I struggle to navigate with in terms of are people being genuine, how I kind of read people. So I find it I take particular offense to the fact that they are trying to, be my friend when it's not real, it's something I really kind of struggle with.
Is it something, do you think, um, is it something that's cultural? Or is it something that like you've had enough of it in different countries that you've formed an opinion like this?
I I mean, like, I'd say there definitely is, and this is something I wanted to ask you about as well, because like we do have a lot of people who put signs up in this country basically saying no solicitors, if you're cold
Hmm.
calling, don't come to the door. I'd say that's a common thing on both sides, for the
Hmm.
US and for here. Um, like in terms of my particular distaste for it, I think it's more of a me thing than a particularly cultural thing. I mean, obviously there are people who aren't crazy about it, but I also think some people quite like I don't know, the dance of sales. Do you know what I mean? The kind of what can I get off this guy, and this sort of wheeling, dealing, bargaining thing. Whereas I have no interest in that. Like, there are people in this country who still like, and it's particularly as you go into the countryside, would go into a grocery store or like a smaller store and would try to negotiate a price,
Oh,
which,
wow.
yeah. And I have like, I have such little interest in that. I want to, like, I'm in, but you pay whatever I need to pay for this thing and I'm gone. Do you know what I mean? I just want it to be fairly transactional. I don't want to do the whole sort of, here's an incredible deal for you, sir, sort of dance.
Hmm. So what's your experience with sales? Like,
Um,
have you worked in
I,
sales?
I suppose I have.
Do you have friends that work in sales?
I have a little. I think I might have mentioned this before on jobs that I hated was that whenever I was in Australia, I stayed in Sydney for a little while, and one of the jobs, and it was hard to get a job of any kind, and I was given like a door-to-door sales job for like which is a nightmare for a like cable service essentially, like a satellite service, cable service, and I fucking hated it. And I think I've said this in pod before, but essentially what broke me on what it was, I knocked on the door. and I heard a baby crying, and a woman opened the door holding the baby was crying, and I was just like, I started the pitch, and because I like, I guess this is what I'm doing, and you could just see in her eyes, just like, I don't fucking have time for this, and I was just like, I
Hmm.
can't do this. This is grim.
Hmm.
I don't. This
Hmm.
is not how I want to interact with people at all. You know. So no, I don't. So I've never felt any affinity with that as a job, and also I have in companies I have worked for, like the sales reps are the biggest headache, because like predominantly I work in IT, but I talk to people in other departments, and everybody's like these fucking sales reps because they just say anything they need to land a sale. The consequences of what they have said, the timescales they have given, what they have over promised, then falls back on the staff. You know what I mean? So like in a company I used to work for, we did box packaging and things like that. And they would completely overpromise in terms of time frames, in terms of like the amount of colors we could offer them based on a price and blah blah blah. And then that big pile of shit would land on the table of the designers and all the staff in there, and they were furious about it. And still, the reps then are the ones who get the commissions. It was very kind of, and as I found all of that frustrating and kind of ridiculous.
Hmm. My worst, so I've done two like cold calling jobs, but the first one was when I was in what you call you when I was you say in university,
In uni.
in uni.
Hmm.
You don't call like, yeah. It's interesting how you say like I was in uni or like I was at college
Yeah,
is what we would say like when I was in college,
yeah,
but you like there are words that go away
that's true.
or aren't there, and I'm like it's interesting. So but I know all this now because I'm watching UK shows. And I have a friend who's Irish.
Yeah.
But I had to, so I had to call, I got paid a ridiculous amount of money to do this, but I had to call, so we had the athletic fund, which was separate from like the college fund.
Hmm. Of
And as with most things, like the athletic fund was the thing that got all the money, and
course.
the college fund, you know, didn't ever get anything. And so
No.
that was my job, was to call families that were already paying tuition and say we need more money. And usually it was like, their student, I would get on the phone with these people and they would take my call because I was a student.
Hmm.
Like the college knew their shit, right? When a student calls and they're like, I'm at the University of, I'm gonna name it, I'm at the University of Oregon, and like, we need, the English department needs books and da da. And they're like, well, we're already paying tuition. And like, she's our first daughter to ever go to college. And like,
Oh,
we think we can do maybe $10 this month, but we're so far behind and we're trying to pay tuition. And I'm
oh,
just like, it was so awful. It was so awful that like I would like hang up the phone and cry.
yeah.
And I remember, I think I got like 3 paychecks and I was just like, this is like, they shouldn't be paying me this much for, because all this is coming out of the college fund, right? Like I should be
Hmm.
being, I think I was getting like $15 an hour or something ridiculous for working
Wow.
like four
Yeah.
hours a week. I was just getting these like $1,000 paychecks. And as a college student, it's ridiculous, but it was
Yeah.
awful. It was awful. And then the other one was for a company that you would probably recognize if I said the name, but I was the one calling the IT department
Hmm.
departments and like trying to get information about like the job that you do and what software you're using, and how, we can promise you that we're gonna help you, increase your productivity using like
Ah,
yeah, that was me. That was me. I lasted 2 weeks.
yeah. No, it sucks. I like,
Yeah.
I like, I have met some sales reps that I think are half decent human beings, but they are
Yeah.
the minority.
Yeah. Well, and then like I also so I was the executive director for a doctors association
Hmm.
in my like past life. And so I would go in and like meet with the doctors and see what they needed and support them. But as I was there, like it would be lunchtime and a big pharma rep would show up with like a catered meal for everyone, right? And they'd be like, "Well, do you want to eat lunch?" And I'd be like, "Sure." But it was so I got like this little glimpse into that world
Mm-hmm.
of like free food, free t-shirts, free pens, free,
Yep.
office supplies and free samples. You know, this is what it does. I heard the speeches and it's just gross and ugly. It's so gross and ugly, Andy.
It is. It
It's
is.
like I know they make movies about it because it's so gross and ugly,
And
but
it's just such an accepted. I think everything about I mean, obviously there's so many different types of sales and all sorts of different things, but like I feel like at a corporate level, it's the whole system's so broken, and
mhm.
it is so open for exploitation. I think the commission-based stuff encourages fucked up
Yeah,
behavior, honestly,
I
and
absolutely agree.
it involves putting people in positions they shouldn't be in. And like one of my old bosses, um, I put it in a good way because he was the head of like an IT department that I worked for, and he said, I suppose there needs to be sales positions because people with no talent have to find a job somewhere. And I
And
was like,
like it must be a talent, right? And it must take a certain type of person.
I I I I think it does take a certain type of person. I would definitely agree with that. But I think the talents that you need to have are a sort of like a compulsion to talk nonstop and a complete disregard as to how your actions affect other people are the kind of two key components that kind of a successful because like with the reps I've worked with in the past, they really do think the world revolves around them. They have fucking, amazing sort of ideals about, or not ideals, they have like, they tell stories that like, about how great they are. The amount of times I've been cornered by one in a job I've worked in, and he or she's been telling me a story, and I'm just like, I don't, fuck, I don't care. I get the point of the story
It's like
is,
your small talk hell.
yeah, it is. But it's like, oh, I know this boxer, and I'm like, oh yeah, you can tell I'm such a boxing fan. Great. I can't wait to hear this boxing story about this boxer you met one time. Fucking amazing. And the punchline is, aren't you amazing and don't you have all these great contacts? Wow. So yeah, so it's just yeah, as I say, I find it uh intensely corrupt from top to bottom, essentially. I God, when you said at the start that like this is definitely something that aggravates you, I was like, I don't know if that's true, but it really is true the more I talk about it.
It's true. And like I was making my list, right? And
Hmm.
like little talking points that I wanted to make sure I hit. And I was started getting like pissed off.
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
like, this is like I don't think that we're in the minority. And I
No.
get like thinking back to American history, right? We had the Wells Fargo wagon, and the guy
Yeah.
would come through with like scarves and things from faraway lands, and they called him the snake oil salesman, right?
Yes.
So like that, this has been happening at least in our country since well, I'm sure way before that,
I
right?
was gonna say, yeah, colonization days. Yeah, I'm sure from early on, you had guys doing stuff
Oof.
like that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ugh, and that's just gross and dirty, and I don't even want to think about it. But
Yep.
like then I started thinking how much of like my day is actually like not indirect sales, but like how how much of my day am I being sold stuff,
Yeah.
right? And then there was an article that came out, and it like came out and then disappeared, but it was basically like, when you're talking about popcorn and then all of a sudden uh and your phone's sitting on the counter and then like you get on Facebook and you get all these advertisements for
Yep.
popcorn and they're like, no, no, no. It's just based on your like search history. This is, we're not recording your calls and we're not,
Hmm.
and they are actually doing
Absolutely.
that. And they have a contract with Facebook. They have a contract with all the social media companies.
Hmm.
And it is literally happening that your phone is picking up what you're saying. And then they're tr translating that almost in like they're translating in real time so that, you know, whatever you want, there it is. Thank you, Amazon.
Yep.
So like anytime you're on the internet, you're being sold stuff. Anytime. And
Yep.
now, thank you, Amazon. We're paying for our monthly subscription to buy your stuff that we don't need, but the immediacy makes it so easy. And now they're doing commercials before you
Yes.
watch a show or a TV.
That's
And like,
fucking
I'm so
nuts.
pissed off. I'm so pissed off. This is what I'm doing.
Mhm.
I make a list of what not to buy because they're
Yeah.
advertising it.
Amazing. That's good. I like it. That's proactive. Yeah, it's fucking
It's all
ridiculous.
day though. It's all
It is.
day.
It is. Um, it's like
Like every website you go
yep.
to.
But even like, I was in a bar at the weekend and there was TV on the bar and I just kept glancing over and there was advertisements on every because they had like a football, I don't know, something or other on. And there was, a break every 15 minutes or so. And it was just, and my eyes were drawn to them because they're shiny and they are, they're designed to like catch your attention. I'm just like, oh God damn it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's grim, and it's like I think it's like relatively inescapable. I think that you can, do certain things about it, but what does it say? Like, if you're using a free product, you probably are the product as well, because like, are they
Yeah.
drawing data from you and things like that?
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
like I've been on the other side of that, where I'm like, I want you to buy the product or whatever, or
yeah,
use our services and like, monitoring like that activity and trying to figure out ways, like even with this podcast, like trying to figure out ways to,
yeah,
have more people see, see or hear, or, they call them impressions. And like I see that and I see why, so much of it is like performance driven. I'm not even gonna get into all these stupid
no,
terms because I get brain dead, but like I I think we need Barbie phones.
yes, Barbie phones for everyone.
Yeah, hashtag like whatever. This
Yeah,
is our
that
sales pitch for Barbie phones. Because it's
if
just it's insidious.
it is insidious,
Insidious.
yeah, yeah, and it's tough to navigate it. It really is. But like, I
And I
think that
don't I don't like being a product.
no,
It
not at all.
skeeps me out.
It does, yeah, absolutely. I think and like I think there are measures you can take to an extent. I think I think that like I have started, for example, whenever I go to the movies, I like arrive like 15 minutes after the start time. And and it's very, I don't think I've ever missed the start of the movie. Do you know what I mean? But I miss a lot of ads, which is
That
nice.
when that started, I was just like, "Oh, fuck,"
Yeah.
because I love previews. I
Hmm.
love them. But, like, to have the ads, like, in with the previews, it just ruins it. It
I
ruins
agree.
it.
I
You know what I
agree.
did? You know what I did? I'm gonna admit something.
Uh-huh.
So, like, Hulu, do you guys have Hulu?
We don't, but I'm aware of it.
Okay, so it's like, That's What Normal People's on,
Yeah.
which is this, great show that everyone should watch that I watched and now Andy's watching it.
Hmm.
And like without ads, it's like 7.99 a month, and with ads, it's like 17.99 a month. But the
Yeah.
show, like, I don't want to spend every 4 to 5 minutes watching 2 minutes of commercials. So I literally paid the money
Yeah.
so I could watch the show without any commercials because it's like it's so good that to pause it was like driving me insane. And I'm like, I'm just gonna pay the fucking money.
Yeah. And that's
They
kind of,
got me.
yeah, this is the thing. Like, and I agree that like paying for, I think it's good to, it's just hard to sort the wheat from the chaff. Do you know what I mean? There is good stuff out
Mhm.
there, and there's stuff that is worth spending money on or investing in or like buying. It's just that like it's so hard because you get like bombarded with everything, all of it, like the good and the bad, and it's impossible really to know, how good or bad something is until you've probably actually spent some time with it yourself. Um, and because there's that, I have had people who kind of advocate this idea of a meritocracy, whereas, all the best stuff rises to the top.
Mm.
Best people, best
Mm.
products. That is absolute bullshit. It's nothing, it's zero to do with that. It's more, I think there's luck is to a certain extent. I think marketing spend and your market position are way, way more influential than the quality of the product. Like I think, you know, the product has to be at least, capable. It has to be like, it has to like at least at a very basic standard do what it says. But like that can be enough for something to go right to the top. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And then what they have to keep then is longevity, right?
Yeah.
And we always talk about hypercolor t-shirts and like they didn't have staying power.
No, they did not. This is fairly major design flaws.
Right, right. So, like, are there good types of sales that like you don't mind?
um
Or like friends that have jobs where you're like, yeah, you're in sales, but like, oh,
I I
I
I I
still I still respect you.
yeah. I have like I had a friend that worked for an IT company that was interested in like moving towards sustainable stuff that was like eco-friendly because they acknowledged, they were like acknowledging that, where we are right now, there's always going to be computers. People are going to want them. They need them for their lives. But is there a more sustainable model for that? And I feel like that is a worthwhile goal. I feel, something that like protects this planet that we live on is worth pursuing and worth pushing. I've got a friend that works in solar power. I
Yeah.
have zero problems with, if I'm sure they have sales reps going around, like, I know that he told me a little bit about like they put together projects and like they have to then, sell that to, I think it's governments more than anything, and be like, this is viable. I'm a fan of that, but like I'm quite sure those same governments are getting, guys that work for, oil or coal-fired, power stations that I'm sure have a shitload more money than them that they're also getting uh, offers from or, proposals from, So yeah, so there is good stuff. I think the pro the big thing is that like I fully acknowledge the like we like dopamine hit that you get whenever you like buy something. I'm 100% a victim of that. I still do it. I fucking love buying stuff and get the
Mhm.
little kind of like woohoo, and then the inevitable disappointment whenever it arrives. And I'm just like, oh yeah, it's just another thing. It's another thing to set in my house.
Right.
But so yeah, it's just it's hard. I think it is that sort of, addictive side of it that I really kind of resent, how it really kind of taps into those kind of worst impulses that a lot of us have, all of us have, I think.
Hmm. I think like I have a friend who's a wine merchant
Hmm.
and that and he's really good at what he does
Hmm.
and he's funny about it and like he's one of the most eccentric people I've ever met. So like that kind of job
Yeah.
in sales, like that I appreciate when someone comes in and looks to you to be the expert and they're like, I'm having a dinner party or like blah blah blah. And like we were like, we're having our wedding and like wine is wine,
Yeah. I like,
And
yeah, whenever it's connected like a passion, do you know what I mean? Like if
yeah,
somebody's clearly
yeah,
passionate about it, I definitely
yeah.
have a lot more time for that, I really do. Um, it's just I think sometimes hard to um, you know, differentiate those people from the people who are just like, I'm in this for the money.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, so do you guys get telemarketers?
I feel like I mean, it's certainly not something that I have had a lot of in recent years, but we definitely did have them. Yeah. I think I'm sure they definitely they exist in this country, but not in my experience, not as much as they used to.
I think there's a lot of regular. So we just got a landline a couple months ago.
Uh-huh.
Um, and we get robocalls a lot, or
Yeah.
people like we at first, I think our you have to say like unlist my number, and I think it was listed previously. So at first we got a bunch of calls, but I'm paying another like $5 a month to get it unlisted. But I looked it up because I remember my dad telling me like, if these goddamn people call again, you can say, and he would write down the name of the company, like you would say like, you called this month 3 months ago. I asked you to take me off the list, and you know, we can fine you $500. That's
Hmm.
actually true. The amount has gone up to $1,500 if a telemarketer violates the laws. And there's like 10 different laws, like hours of, that they can call,
Yeah.
days of the week that they can call, number of times that they can call. And if they do anything outside of that, they owe you $1,500. So I think you were talking about how to be on holiday all the time.
Yeah.
I think you just need to get like 4 or 5 American numbers and put
Hmm.
yourself on all the call lists
Ooh.
and make notes and just find the shit out of all of these companies
Okay, I like that. Yeah. All right. That
and just
seems
and just grab all your $1,500 a month checks.
that sounds like honest living.
I know.
A good honest job. I
It's
like
like
it.
doing something for the little people,
It
right?
is. It is. I love it. That's amazing. That's
I
so
just had
good.
that right idea when you were like,
All right. Okay, I'm on
yep,
it. I
yep.
love it. Do it. Yeah, it's when you mentioned when you said robocalls, I was like, actually, I definitely get those occasionally, and it's a lot of the times it's like, um, oh, have you recently been involved in a car accident? And I'm like, no. And I mean, honestly, as soon as I hear a lengthy pause, as soon as I pick up the phone,
Hmm.
I'm just like hanging up immediately because I know that it's just something's fucking whirring up that kind of spouts some bullshit at me. So I'm like, nope,
Yeah,
bye. Um, so yeah. Do you get cold callers? Do you get door to door people these days, or is
we
that a thing?
do. We do. And we get, actually, we get a lot of them.
What are
There's a
they
lot.
selling, or
It's
what are they?
actually, it's not as annoying as it like used to be. Um, Sometimes it's kids that are like, selling chocolate bars for the football team or
Oh,
whatever, and
yeah,
I always buy the
that's
chocolate.
completely reasonable. Yep.
Yeah, but we had to put up a no soliciting sign. We get a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses,
Oh, mm-hmm.
which, uh, and no disrespect to anyone, but on any, door to door religion, not sales, but conversations, but they argue with you.
Oh,
And you're like,
interesting.
sorry, I have a no soliciting sign. And they're like, actually, that doesn't apply to us. So, apparently, for religious organizations, what they're doing is not soliciting. They just want to have a chat. And so that
Wow.
doesn't apply to them.
Sneaky bastards.
Uh-huh. But we there's a lot of like, we live in a small town,
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of people that have like car detailing business, or like they prune
Yeah.
palm trees, like that's a big thing, and ours are a mess right now. And so like we'll get people that will just, they won't even knock, they'll just leave a card.
Yeah.
But they'll drive around the neighborhood and just be like, do you want us to trim your palm
Yeah.
trees? And sometimes we're like, absolutely, like I don't feel like doing that.
I I think that's my favorite type is like see whenever people come along and go, here, do you want like this to clean your gutters? And you're like,
Yeah,
no, not at the minute.
yeah,
Like, can I just leave a card? I was like, yep, sure. I'm like,
yep,
cool. That's a-okay with me. It's the hard
yep.
sell that I really struggle with. Um, because we get a lot of we get a lot of charities coming door to door these days.
Oh, we don't get as many of those. And maybe it's the giant no soliciting sign that you'll
Yeah,
see on above our
I love
doorbell.
it. I need to buy
But
one.
yeah, that was like one of my first purchases because our last house didn't have a doorbell at all. And so I just like, I would be in like a different part of the house and I just wouldn't hear the knock on the door. It was so great. Now we do have a doorbell and it's like so annoying. And then the dog barks and the kids are like, oh my God, someone's here.
The, the
Uh,
the nightmare with my house is that I have no like my front door is right on my living room,
So
And
you
like,
can't hide.
yeah, but I mean, there has been a couple of times when they've knocked on the door and I've been lying with a blanket over me and I've just like pulled the blanket over my head and hope that they go away. Or like Sasha barks at them, and like they leave eventually. It has worked a
Right.
couple of times, but some days it's
Yeah.
just like I just
I've
can't
definitely, yeah,
deal
no,
with
I've
this.
definitely hidden. I've definitely hidden. But like I think, yeah, I don't mind. And it's interesting, like I think we would get more charities when I lived in Oregon. I don't know. Yeah, we don't get as many here at all.
Yeah, that's good.
It's just people that, yeah, have like a, a little business and they just want to make a little
Yeah,
bit of
that's
money and
I
yeah.
I am so much in favor of that sort of local thing. That's I'm kind of okay with that because like oftentimes they're just kind of like, they're not part of a fucking massive machine that's just like, we have these are the techniques, learn them, and
Yeah.
then they're going out because like it's the same thing, and I really struggle with it with the charity stuff in particular. Is the same thing again because like I'm again because my living room is right there. They look in, they're like, "Oh, I see you have like, oh, is that a video game controller? Oh, what video
Yeah.
games do you play?" And I'm just like, can we not do
And you're like,
this?
none of your goddamn
It's
business.
so hard for me because I'm trying, like, I like really like to be polite as much as possible. So like I'm trying to be polite, but I really just want to tell them to be like, look, can we get to the end of this? Like I am now like preloading. So like the what I'm getting away with charities these days is that I have found that if I tell them I'm unemployed, which is a white lie, there's a truth there.
Yeah.
I am technically unemployed. Um, and if you look at it from a certain angle, so like if you tell them you're unemployed, they can't really kind of force the issue. So like I try to front load the conversation with that now, but like it doesn't stop them half the time. And they'll just like talk about whatever their charity is and be like, I'm sure you'll agree that's worthy. And I'm like, I do agree it's worthy. I think it's a great thing you're doing, but I'm not in a position to help you right now. And it's been pretty effective, I must say, because otherwise, I like a few years ago there was a dog-based charity that came around, and I don't know if this was prior to Sasha. It would have been definitely quite a while ago, but like I was talked into it, and I was given false information and talked into like um paying a certain amount every, and I didn't mind it too much because it was a charity I respected, but after a year, they basically sent me an email saying, "Oh, we're just going to automatically double your thing," and I'm like, "No, you're not." So I just canceled it at my end, and like I got a few like letters from them or whatever saying, "Oh, what's happened? We haven't got your thing," and I just ignored them, and it was just kind of went away. But it was really that really bothered me. It was just this expectation a year later we're just going to double your donation, and like,
That happens a lot, and it's not just with
gosh,
charities. It's like the website company that we work with, like they're like, "Well, you have this account, we're taking that type away, so we're upgrading you to the new
yeah,
one, which is professional instead of business." And I'm like, I don't need all the like all I need is a website. I don't need to like have all these. I'm not taking Square payments, right?
yeah.
Like unless you guys want to buy t-shirts
Yeah, I mean, we'll take
from
sort of
me
this for
in
that.
person, and then
Yeah,
yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But like that stuff drives me crazy
it
too.
does. I like almost certainly they, it's on in the kind of conditions and things that like everybody scrolls past, scrolls past, scrolls past. Maybe not everybody, but no, most people don't read the terms and conditions. It probably says something in there how they have the right to do that. But
Yeah.
it's like they absolutely engineer those things to make them as dense as possible so that you miss all
Hmm.
the sort of key stuff.
Hmm.
Um, So yeah, nefarious bastards.
They're awful. They're
Yeah.
awful. Um, so are there any kind of sales that you miss?
Um, huh.
Like harkening back to like childhood, like
I,
they were selling you stuff too, even then.
I like I think that I quite like enjoy so I mean I guess this is still something now, but I kind of quite like the pageantry around entertainment products. So like I think that there is like an art form for example, to a well-crafted movie trailer. And
Hmm.
do you know what I mean? And like that is sales. That's all that it is. But I they think there's something really interesting and fun there, and I love a well put together movie trailer. And I think it's the same with video game stuff as well. And like video game companies over the years have had figureheads like guys who like CEOs in the US or whatever who have become like famous sort of like hype men, which I kind of quite liked as well, like I could see I don't think it quite happens quite as much these days. I think it really has faded, but you got these almost like these rock star like video game or company heads and stuff like that. And there was something about that I quite liked, but that's an industry that I love. So I do kind of miss that. Um, do you have any?
I miss toy catalogs.
Mm,
And like they've
good
started coming
answer.
back out. Like Amazon has gotten hip to that. But I miss toy catalogs. It was
Yeah.
so fun getting the like before Christmas catalog or whatever
Uh-huh.
and going through everything and circling everything. And I miss like on paper comics. And I don't buy it's part of this it's I don't buy comic books as much anymore, but just like that back page
Yeah.
of crap,
Yeah.
like whoopee cushions
Yeah.
and like the parachute man, like things that you could buy for like $1.
Yeah.
Um and would cut out your little proof of purchase and send your money to the address. And like I miss that. And like
It's
looking
good.
at these little like fine print, tiny um, toys basically.
No, I like
I
because
just
they
yeah.
had I mean like probably even before both of our times, but I've seen comics with them. The like Charles Atlas ads, which like are you like a puny wimp? Follow get the Charles Atlas guy to turn you into like a muscular Superman.
Right, right. Well, and like I was thinking too, like like the Encyclopedia
Uh-huh.
Britannica. Do
Uh-huh.
you remember that? It was like a
Uh-huh.
whole thing, and like they would come and try and sell it to you, or like that all of the commercials for the
Yeah.
encyclopedia, and it was like such a big deal. Like everything that existed in the A
Yeah.
category, and everything that existed in the B category.
I remember them even like in the 90s, like the digital versions and things like that. I think was it Encarta? I can't think that was it. But
Yeah, it
like,
was Encyclopedia Encarta.
yeah.
And that
And
was like a
like,
whole thing. It was
yeah.
like it wasn't on Laserdisc, but it was like a CD and you
Yeah.
would have it on your computer and it
Mm-hmm.
was like crazy and you could like search for things
So not.
without
Um,
like turning pages.
Little did they know what we'd have
I
now, which is
know.
like
Yeah.
it's so much both information and disinformation at our fingertips.
It's true. It's
Um,
true.
it's funny. I toy catalogs is such a great answer, and we did get amazing ones. But like the big thing in the UK, and certainly I think this was a general experience is that there is a shop called Argos, and Argos would release a
Ooh.
catalog maybe 2, 3 times a year, and it was a big
Mm-hmm.
deal. And I was like getting the
Mm-hmm.
Argos catalog, and I do remember like pouring through that and seeing, and it had like all sorts of stuff like home goods and bedding and all sorts of like electrical appliances and things like that. But it did have a toy section, and in the toy section,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't wait to go through that and see what I wanted to buy.
It's like the adult version, which they don't make anymore. But do you remember Sky Mall?
Ah,
Did you
yes, I
guys have
do.
Sky Mall? And it was
Hmm.
like, yes, I need a Lord of the Rings pendant for my cloak. Yes, I need a ghoul crawling out from like under the grass for Halloween. Yes, I need
Absolutely.
a hot dog toaster.
Yeah. I think like because I don't think we had Sky Mall, but I definitely encountered it whenever I was in. Oh, it's just made me think of something else as well.
Yes.
The which was the Columbia music offer where it was like
Oh
10
yeah.
CDs
Oh
for
yeah. Yes.
99p,
Uh-huh.
which
And
I
you'd go
did.
through all the
Yeah.
different, yeah.
Which I did in whenever I was in North Carolina. And then like I was like,
Mhm.
I'm leaving the country. Ha ha ha, they'll never be able to track me down. Um
You're gonna get arrested when you
oh
come
no, now
there.
they know they're coming for me.
I don't
Um
even know if they're still around. I mean, Columbia Records is
I
still around,
think
but I
they
don't know if
are in some capacity, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah. And it's it's funny, thinking about this because it's like I do have such fun memories of those, but I think that also kind of pisses me off a bit,
Yeah,
because it's like it all
it's
boils down to
embedded.
it's embedded, like it's insidious. Um, but yeah. I think like I mean in terms of we've covered. Oh yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say, and I think that it like ties back into old episodes and things like that. In one of my kind of takes on sales, which is something that like may be part of the key to why I am the way I am, is that
Uh-huh.
I think
I
sales.
literally have written down, why do you hate them so
Yeah.
much?
I
Or
mean, I
why do
don't
you
think
hate them
this
so
is
much?
the entire like key to this, but like it's definitely a big component to it. Is that I feel like sales is I think like dating is sales to an extent, right? Because
Yeah,
you are
okay.
trying to
You're
like
selling
sell
yourself.
yourself and like I hear people talking about it, and it's like whenever you first meet somebody, you're prepared, showing them a version of yourself that is maybe not entirely true, like a kind of a glossy nicer version of yourself. And like I struggle with that because it feels a bit like dishonesty. And I think that I have always connected those two things, which is why I have always kind of like it definitely contributes to why I have a negative opinion about sales.
That's a really like, I don't know. You dug deep to figure that out.
Yeah, it doesn't
Good
help.
job. It doesn't help.
No, not at all. But it's
No.
interesting. Well, like it does. I mean, like I'm still bad
What
at
if you
sales.
presented the worst version of yourself?
That's true. Just go in like eating a piece of greasy pizza.
Yeah, being like, I'm so sad today.
Yeah. Like, I haven't washed my hair in a week.
No,
Like,
I'm
all
covered
right.
in dog. Yeah, I smell like dog.
Like get covered in dog hair. Living the dream. Love it. Um, so I don't know, like I think that's everything I can have in terms of my thoughts. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to go over before we move on
Just,
or
I think like what would my ideal world look like, Because like I get it that it's a necessary thing.
yeah,
Like you're saying, like even dating is selling yourself. So
yeah.
like it's not that um I think I think I think you hit it early on when you're talking about like people not being genuine.
Yeah.
And I know for you that's something that you hate,
Yeah.
It's like small talk is people not being genuine, and like you're a really genuine person, and I think that you seek that out in other
Yeah.
people, and it's something you're probably, proud of that you have in yourself.
Yeah.
Um so I think, my plea, I guess, would be for companies to do the right thing, stop using us as meat skeletons to harvest things from. And, like, think about whether or not, um, what you're selling is necessary
Yeah.
and helpful, and if not, like, find someone else that's doing something better and support them.
Like yeah, I mean
And stop the
absolutely.
door-to-door shit and stop the calling and stop
Yeah.
commercials.
I mean like
And
the problem is
then the
100.
world would be happy.
Yeah, no. It's like, and I'm sure I've talked about this before. One of my favorite Simpsons gags was there was Lionel Hutz, the solicitor or
Yes.
and he was like having a conversation, they're having a conversation with somebody, and they were like, "Can you imagine a world without lawyers?" And it was just like people of all different like races, genders, and colors
Yes.
holding hands around the
All
world,
happy.
and he's
Yes.
just like
I
shudders.
I saw that episode last week.
It's so good, it's so good. Um, so yeah, I mean, like I think while money exists and money is always going to exist, there's no getting rid of it. Sales are going to exist, so we're kind of stuck with them. It's just about,
Mhm.
I think it's just about trying to navigate them in a way that is most healthy for the individual. So just do what you need
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
Tell Tell people you're unemployed. It gets you out of so many situations. That's my special trick.
Like, yeah, I'm unemployed. Can you spare $5
Yeah,
for me?
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about line in
Yeah,
my pockets?
right.
You need money to feed the poor. I'm poor. Feed me. So yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think
Can you say something for me, like
yeah,
in an Irish accent? Can you say poor sales?
per sales.
Per se per seals.
Per sales. I don't think I put anything on that. No, that's how I would say it. Yeah, yeah.
Funny. I like it. It sounds like
Per
purring
seals this
seals.
month, boys. I love it. Okay.
Your
Uh,
accent.
I dare you.
Okay. Do you
Um,
want to talk about something positive?
yeah. So what's been bringing me joy this week? I'm phrasing it towards me this week because I have stuff written down. Hooray!
Woohoo!
So,
Look at you go.
holidays generally, and right. Okay.
Totally.
A, I know I'm very privileged that I can take holidays. I mean, I'm also lucky because I've got friends who like put me up and stuff. Um, because maybe holidays wouldn't happen for you this year otherwise. But for me, they are such a reset switch. They're such a refresher. I talked about it at the start of the episode. It just allows me to get out of a mental kind of trough that I might have been in. It really does. It's a reset switch that is just fantastic. So yeah, the holiday that I have just come back from, I've got a holiday coming up in a week and a half, and I am thrilled they are happening because I really needed them. And yeah, they are very much bringing me joy.
Good. Yeah, always. It's like I get the pre holiday, or we call them vacation
Yeah,
happies, but I also
yeah.
get the post ones
Oh,
usually.
yeah.
Uh so good. So I've been cooking a lot
Oh,
because
love it.
I'm single. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm taking care of sick human and two small children, and it's like birthday season.
Hmm.
So just we had to cancel. Charlie was supposed to have a birthday party. Oh, no, I'm just blabbing. But he was supposed to have a birthday party on Saturday. We had to cancel it. We're going to postpone it. Maybe we'll have it while you're here. I don't know.
Okay.
Um, but so I've been cooking. I haven't and I'm going through, like, we have so much stockpiled food, can this, can that, like, I don't even know. So I'm just kind of going through everything, and I'm iron chefing every night,
Nice.
and I'm having so much fun with it. And
Yeah,
like
it's
baking,
yeah.
like I forget, because Mike cooks. He's like,
Yeah.
that's his thing. He cooks, the kids that do the dishes now. Because I'm raising stellar human beings. And
Hmm.
so it's just like something that I haven't been doing, and I'm really, really enjoying it.
I love it. It's great.
So I may even break out the crock pot. It's been a while.
Hell yeah.
I know. I'm so suburban. Sorry, everyone.
No, I truly think cooking's one of the great pleasures. I mean, like, especially if you love eating, like, and as I say, we talked about, like, living to eat or eating to live, but I
Mhm.
love cooking. Like, I made a dal, like a restaurant recipe dal. I think I've talked about them before, and
Yep.
this is the first time I've done one like this, and it is so good and so flavorful, and has made me so happy. It is also, because I'm slightly sick at the minute, loaded with garlic, ginger,
All the
and many
things.
other all the
Yeah.
things that will make me better. So it
Yes.
is delicious, and it is also hopefully making me feel less sick, which is nice.
Good. Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah.
sorry for your sickness. You gotta get better. You gotta get better
I
because
do,
you're
I do. I've
coming
got a
here.
week and a half.
So
I'm just like hammering like medicine into me. So I'm gonna get there. But yeah. So yeah, good joys this week. I think we are at the end of this week's episode, folks. So as always, we'd like to remind you to. Oh no, wait, actually, do we have to do our yeah, we do.
yeah, just check us out at
Yeah.
bendypodcast.com and leave us a review,
Yeah.
or I'm really enjoying chit-chatting with people online,
Yeah.
listening that folks that are listening to episodes and have questions or want to talk. It's pretty fun. So yeah, send me photos of Andy drunk.
Yeah, please do. And dancing.
And you can find that email address at bendypodcast.com.
Yeah. So remind you to stay
Bendy. I can tell you're sick.
Yeah, no. That BS. All right, bye. We love you.
Bye, 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 bye.
Okay, so I don't need to
I'm
keep.
so sorry.
Don't
Yeah,
worry about it.
normally I have like I make you small so I can see Audacity, but I left you big, and then I forgot to hit record. So, but yeah, I mean, if you can pull it,
we've got the Zoom recording. It's all good. We're covered. That's why we're doing the Zoom recording.
Yeah.
As
a
okay.
backup. Okay. Take a break.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a quick cup of tea and stuff, and yeah,
Okay.
back in 5.
Okay, cool.
Okay.